football fans, we are ready for NFL picks for week number 5 in the league where they play for pay. Oh yeah, let's get to it. I'm ready to go. After a wild and wacky week number 4, I told you it might be that way. It certainly was. The NFL is funny. It's only a 16-game schedule, but there are so many twists and turns in that 16-game schedule, and that's why we love it. Week number 5, 2 teams with a bye this week. The Miami Dolphins with a bye. They're 0-4, lost to the Chargers. We all got to find someone to play against in our knockout pool. For those of you alive in the knockout pool that keep picking against Miami, we got to find a new team this week to pick against because Miami has the week off. Detroit also with a bye. They're 2-1-1. They lost a heartbreaker to Kansas City. Kansas City runs back that 100-yard fumble. Detroit still gets the lead late, but Kansas City gets it done in the end. That was a heartbreaking loss for Detroit as they are 2-1-1 in a very tough division. Okay, week number 5. Let's get right to it. Let's go down to Washington, D.C. with the New England Patriots, a minus 15.5 against the Washington Redskins. Washington winless, hapless, hopeless, 0-4, got bombed by the Giants. Keenum hits the bench. The young quarterback comes in. He throws 3 interceptions. It's going to be a long year for Washington. I mean, they look like one of the worst teams in football. Now you throw the young quarterback into this mess, and I liked him in college. We'll see how Haskins does. I mean, he got thrown right into the fire and quickly threw 3 picks. Long year for Washington. I do not expect Gruden to last long. New England, they're up to 4-0. They held on and beat Buffalo. Not New England's best game offensively. They kind of got out to the lead early, 13-0, and then hung on from there. Buffalo had a lot of chances, but that New England defense. How about this New England defense? I mean, again, I know I'm repeating myself. A year ago at this time, we were saying New England had one of the worst defenses in football. By the end of last year, they had one of the best, and this year, they look dynamite. I mean, they look really, really good. I mean, this defense. So New England pulls it out. They are up to 4-0. What a shock. New England's 4-0, right? It's going to be another one of those 12-4, 13-3 years for New England, and they'll be knocking on the door for the Super Bowl, I'm sure. Listen, again, this game, for all you super teaser lovers, this is one of the games you got to use. Take New England. I'm sure half the crowd will be Patriot fans. Washington fans are selling their seats. They're putting bags over their head. New England is going to win this game. They're probably going to do a lot more on offense than they did last week. You know, Brady's not going to like back-to-back bad performances. I can't see how Washington's going to move the ball from here to there. You know how Belichick is against, first-year starters. You know he's going to eat this young quarterback up. So I think this is a blowout. I think New England picks their score. Use that game in your super teaser. New England, pick number 1. Pick number 2, another super teaser pick, as the Philadelphia Eagles fly, Eagles fly, fly, Eagles fly. A minus 14 over the New York Jets. Jets 0-3 coming off a bye. We'll see about Darnold. I don't think he'll play this week, but there is a chance. I mean, right now the spread's 14 because the Jets are on their 3rd-string quarterback. If Darnold plays, that spread will go down. I don't know by how much. I don't think Darnold is going to play, though. Still a little risk for him playing with that mononucleosis. There's a spleen. You know, it could affect your spleen if you get hit there. I don't think the Jets are going to chance it. So I expect Darnold to sit this week, but that is not official. Philadelphia, how about them? 2-2 went on the road to Lambeau and beat the Packers. Gritty performance by the Eagles. They were 1-2. Short week coming off the tough loss at home to Detroit. Going into Lambeau against, at that time, an undefeated Packer team. You know, the Eagles really showed me a lot. They fell behind 10-0 early in this game. This was a gritty performance by the Eagles. I've been waiting for this kind of performance for a few weeks from the Eagles. You know they have the talent. They're kind of spotty sometimes. They're always in these wild games that come right down to the end. Very, very good win for the Eagles. And with that win, coupled with the Dallas loss, all of a sudden that division is wide open again. Even the Giants are only a game out of first place, and we'll get to them later. That's how things can change so quickly in the NFL. So that was a gritty, gutty win by the Eagles. Solid road win there. Again, super teaser. You got to take the Eagles. You can't like the Jets. Why would you like the Jets here? There's no rhyme or reason why you can like the Jets. Like I said, I don't think Donald is even going to play. So now you got the third string quarterback in there. The Jets have been awful this year so far. I can't see Philly losing at home or even being tested in this game, especially if Donald does not play. That's pick number 2, Eagles in a super teaser. Pair them with New England, a couple other teams. I don't know how many you got to take in those super teasers, but those are 2 you got to use right there. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, this is a really good game. Let's go to the Big D in Dallas. Jerry's World. How about them Cowboys? With the Dallas Cowboys a -3.5 against the Green Bay Packers. Packers, like I just mentioned, took their first loss to the Eagles. That was a tough pill to swallow. Packers had chances to get back in that game. Rodgers not good in the red zone. That was a little surprising. Didn't like the play calling either, in the red zone. Throwing the ball, they could have ran it a few more times. Didn't like the play calling. So Green Bay takes their first loss there. They're on a long week, Green Bay. Remember, they got the extra time to prepare. Dallas, they also took their first loss in New Orleans, so Dallas is down to 3-1. Dallas loses to New Orleans without Breeze. They lose 12-10 of a very low-scoring game. So you got 2 3-1 teams here. Dallas favored by 3.5 at home. You know the history of these two teams. They play really, really tough games. They always come down to the end. Rodgers always seems to have the ball at the end of these games. I'm going to move the line to 9.5 in a 2-team teaser and take Green Bay. I have to think this is going to be a close game either way. I mean, these teams have a long history of just close battles, especially the last few years. I have to think this game is going to be close. It could go either way. So to me, the safe play is taking Green Bay in a 2-team teaser plus 9.5. That's pick number 3. A little cough here. Let me get some water. Sorry about that. Let's go to pick number 4. Let's go to Kansas City. With the Kansas City Chiefs are -10 over the Indianapolis Colts. Chiefs 4-0 beat Detroit in a wild game. A wild game. Like I mentioned, the Chiefs had that 100-yard fumble return. Then Detroit took the lead at, getting close to the end of the game. Chiefs rallied to win. I mean, the Chiefs can put up points on anyone. Hill's still out. Chiefs, of course, one of the best teams in the AFC. Indianapolis down at 2-2. Oh, my goodness. They lost to Oakland and looked bad doing it. The Colts have a bunch of injuries, too. That whole Colt division, if you can avoid it, don't bet those teams, especially when they're playing each other. The Colts are going to be up and down without luck. I told you about the Titans last week, and I was smart enough to take them. You never know what you're getting with them. Jacksonville's the same way. Jacksonville's, got the second-string quarterback in there. Ramsey wants out. They're finding ways to win. And the Texans, they're another one. They're in close games every week. I mean, Watson always tries to pull the game out at the end. Their offensive line stinks. The Texans are in close games every week. That whole division is bizarre. And when they play each other, stay away from those games. Those teams are very hard to predict. The Colts, in the first 3 weeks, showed me a lot. Last week they laid an egg against Oakland at home, took the loss. Now they got to go into Arrowhead. You're looking for another super teaser, 3-team teaser, whatever you're looking for. You got to think the Chiefs at home are going to beat the Colts after what you saw last week when Oakland handled Indianapolis. And the Colts have a bunch of injuries now, too. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on Hilton. He didn't play last week. You got to like the Chiefs. I am not going against the Chiefs at home. You want to use them as a super teaser. 9 points is a 3-team teaser. You're going to get this spread down to basically even. You have to think the Chiefs are going to take care of business at home. That is pick number 4. Pick number 5, let's go to London. Yes! Yes, you know how I love those London games. You gotta get a game everywhere, NFL. Get a game on Thursday. Get a game all day Sunday. Get it on Sunday night. Get it on Monday. Get it in London. Get it in Mexico. Get it in Antarctica. Put it on the moon. Oh, yeah! The NFL. Oh, my goodness. And listen, I love London, England. The fans are great. They'll have a great crowd there. I just don't know why, the NFL has to play a regular season game in London and give one of these teams a home game. I mean, it's like I always say, it's like the Premier League, Manchester United and Chelsea giving up one of their home games to play over here. I mean, I don't know what the NFL's fascination is. You know, they can't make any more money. They print money. I mean, it's just pure greed at this point. And like I said, nothing against London. But I mean, I don't love, 9:30 in the morning football. And if you're on the West Coast, what is it, 6:30? I mean, so again, I didn't understand this from the start. They're even talking about putting a team in London. How is that going to work? I mean, that'll be bizarre. But anyway, I'm off track here. Chicago, -4.5 against Oakland in London. I just mentioned Oakland. Nice win. They beat Indianapolis. They're up to 2-2. As much as I was on the Colts, I got to give the Raiders credit. They had lost a couple in a row. They looked like they were going to fall apart. Raiders, nice win to get them stabilized. Chicago, also a nice win. They're 3-1, and they just beat up Minnesota. I mean, they manhandled them on defense. Minnesota couldn't do anything in that game. Chicago handled. And remember, Trubisky went out early in this game, and we don't know if he's going to play this week. He's going to fly to London. Who knows? You may get Daniel again at quarterback. But even when Trubisky went out, the Bear defense was so dominant that they just destroyed Minnesota. I mean, now listen, the score was 16-6, but that game was not as close as the final score. That was 16-0. Vikings scored late. It was Chicago's day all the way. If you watch that game, Chicago started fast, and they really dominated on defense in that game. As far as this game, with that Chicago defense, and maybe Trubisky plays, you gotta like Chicago on the money line here. I think Chicago's going to be all over that Oakland offense. I mean, that Chicago defense, when they get rolling, they can do it against anybody. They have a awesome defense. They were really, really good last week. And I see them call it's in all sorts of trouble for Oakland. So that was a nice win by the Bears last week. The Bears have now won, 3 in a row, I believe. So the Bears are starting to play really good football, just like we thought they would. We'll see about Trubisky. He might play. Even if he doesn't, you saw last week their defense can carry him, and I think they can handle Oakland. I'd go Chicago money line there. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6. Let's go to the Steel City in Pittsburgh for a great rivalry with the Baltimore Ravens. A -4.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 1-3, beat up Cincinnati, had 4 billion sacks. The Bengals, another awful team. Steelers' young QB did some nice things. What was he, like 24 for 28 in that game? I mean, a lot of short completions, but did a nice job. So the Steelers get their first win. Baltimore down to 2-2, got bombed at home by Cleveland, and I took Cleveland last week. Did not expect that, because I need some more water. More coughing by me. I'll tell you, the weather has been so strange here in New York. I mean, one day it's 60 degrees and chilly. Then the next day it's like 85, hot and humid. It's been like that for a month, and it's affecting my allergies, obviously. So bear with me. But anyway, Baltimore took it on the chin to the Browns last week. So Cleveland goes into first place. We know the history of these two teams. They always play field goal games. I don't care who's quarterbacking. I don't care what the records are. These two teams play close games. How many field goal games between these two? I will move the line to 10.5, and I will take the Steelers. I get 10.5. I get the home field. Steelers look revitalized after the first win. I think it's going to be close. I really do. I'm not saying Baltimore can't win. Obviously, they're the favorite. I mean, I would think if you got to pick one team to win, maybe you go Baltimore here. But I think the game's going to be close. I think it's coming right down to the end. I'm going to go Steelers in a 2-team teaser plus 10.5. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. The game of the week. Let's go to the jungle in Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati Bengals are -4.5 against Arizona. That says it all right there. And this spread might have changed after the Bengals' performance on Monday Night Football. But that was the opening line, 4.5. It might have went down. Bengals winless, just got eaten up by the Steelers. Gave up 8 sacks. How bad is that Bengal offensive line? I mean, what were they playing, the Steel Curtain? I mean, what a terrible job by the Bengals. They were just blown out on Monday Night Football. And the Bengals had played a couple competitive games. They almost beat Seattle. They almost beat Buffalo. but they were atrocious on Monday Night Football. I had to turn it off at some point because I couldn't listen to any more Tessitore and Boogie McFarland. I mean, I just couldn't do it anymore. So the Bengals look like a train wreck. Still no A.J. Green. And then you move over to Arizona. They're 0-3-1. They got beat up by Seattle at home 27-10. Arizona looks like, they look like a bad team as well. We kind of knew Arizona was going to be a bad team, but they look like they could be really bad. They did cover the spread the first couple of weeks, but that performance against Seattle was not good at all. I mean, Seattle really just dominated that game. And Arizona's good for a couple turnovers, it seems, each game. I mean, they don't do anything well, Arizona. I mean, and the coach, I would have never hired him either. I would have never hired him. We'll see about the young quarterback that kind of threw him into the fire. Arizona, I mean, to me, they're going to have a tough time winning any games at this point. And so, same thing with Cincinnati. I mean, what a joke this game is. I'll move it to, first of all, it's probably a throwout game. If you had to pick it, 2 team teasers, move it to 10.5 and take Arizona. This will be, what do you think this game is going to be? Like 17-16 somebody? I mean, both teams haven't got a win yet. Bengals look as bad as you can possibly look. Arizona, I mean, they're starting to fall apart now like we thought they would. They were competitive the first 2 weeks. The Carolina game kind of got away from them there at the end, and then the Seattle just kind of beat them up, 27-10. So, again, it's probably a throwout game. I'll move the line to 10.5 and take Arizona if I have to in a 2-team teaser, but that's just a mess. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8, another interesting game here. Let's go down to Carolina, where the Carolina Panthers are minus 3.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and suddenly these two teams are showing some life, both with the backup quarterback. Carolina lost their first 2 games at home with Cam Newton. He goes out, and now the backup has led him to back-to-back road wins, and Carolina wins in Houston. So all of a sudden, Carolina's got new life, and that was a very good win by Carolina, holding on to beat the Texans. Jacksonville, same deal with them. They're 2-2. They were 0-2. Foles goes out. You got the story with Ramsey. He wants out. The backup comes in. He's showing some mojo. They rally to beat Denver. They're down 17-3. The backup quarterback's, avoiding sacks left and right, throwing touchdown passes. I mean, so you got new life here for the Jaguars as well. I thought Fournette played very well. I mean, that was a really good win by Jacksonville. I know Denver stinks, but it was 17-3 on the road, and they came back and won. So now Jacksonville's 2-2. So both these teams got a little mojo with the backup quarterback. I'll move the line to 9.5 and take Jacksonville. You have to think this game is going to be close either way. These teams are kind of mirror images of each other. They're both playing with the backup quarterback. Both have won 2 in a row. They kind of remind me of each other, so I'm going to think it's close. I'll take Jacksonville in the 2-team teaser, plus 9.5. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9, this is the Thursday night game. You know how much I hate Thursday night football. This should be like a Sunday night, Monday night game. Let's put it on Thursday night. It's a good matchup, though. I prefer it on another day of the week. Let's go out to Seattle, where the Seattle Seahawks are minus 1.5 against the LA Rams. Seattle up to 3-1. Took care of business against Arizona. Nice bounce-back win for Seattle after they laid an egg against New Orleans the week before. Seattle's going to be a solid team. That division is very good. I mean, you got the Rams, you got Seattle, you got the Niners. That division is very, very good. Rams down to 3-1, lost to Tampa Bay. And I said last week the Rams would score 40. Well, they did score 40, and I did take the game over. I did not anticipate, though, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers putting 55 on the Rams. Let me say it again, 55. I mean, Tampa Bay just dropped the big bag of goodies on the Rams. I mean, every time I looked up, Tampa Bay was scoring. They moved down the field at will, and I know the Rams had 4 turnovers, and that had something to do with it, but still, at the end of the day, the Buccaneers scored 55 points, the most in team history. That was an embarrassing performance by the Rams. I mean, turnovers all over the place. I mean, bad defense, just an atrocious job by the Rams. I mean, I'll give the Bucs credit when we get to them, but that was a bad performance by the LA Rams. As far as this game, again, how do you pick a winner in this game? Who's going to win? Tell me. If I polled 1,000 people, 500 are going to say Seattle, 500 are going to say the Rams. So I'm going to move the line to 7.5 in a two-team teaser and take the Rams because I think the game is going to be close. The Rams are going to be upset. They're going to be embarrassed at what they did last week. You know Seattle, how they play, they're going to give you a good effort. I think the game will be close. It could come down to the wire. It could come down to the end. It should come down to the end. But it's very hard to pick a winner here. How in the world do you pick a winner? How do you decipher this? So to me, the safe play, if you're going to play this game, Rams 7.5 and a two-team teaser, go that way. I don't like betting Thursday Night Football, but that's how I would go there. That's pick number 9. Pick number 10, let's go to Nashville, Tennessee, and just another bizarro game where the Tennessee Titans are -3 against the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee up to 2-2. Beat Atlanta after looking like the Walking Dead the previous 2 weeks. Tennessee all of a sudden woke up. That's exactly what Tennessee does, and I told you that last week, and I was smart enough to pick them last week. Then you got Buffalo. They're 3-1. They lost to New England. They had a million chances to get in the end zone, couldn't do it. Quarterback's got a concussion. Will he play? Will it be the backup? You don't know what you're getting there. I mean, you talk about a bizarro game. Move it to 9 and take Buffalo in a two-team teaser if you have to play the game. Tennessee seems to be always in, wild games. Buffalo likes to play close to the vest. They're in close games all the time. So to me, 9 points with Buffalo. Now listen, I would hope the Buffalo starting quarterback would play. If he doesn't play, I mean, you might want to toss this game out. Let's say the Buffalo quarterback plays. You got to think 9 points is a good play with Buffalo. You have to. You got to think this game is going to be close. They're two evenly matched teams. I will go that way. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11, let's go down to New Orleans. The Big Easy. The Superdome. Who dat? I say, who dat? With the New Orleans Saints are -4.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Saints, really nice win. They're up to 3-1, beat Dallas at home. Of course, no Drew Brees, but the defense was awesome in that game. That was a really, really good win for the New Orleans Saints. Tampa Bay, give them credit. I hammered them when they lost to the Giants, but Tampa Bay, even their record at 2-2, went into Los Angeles and beat the Rams. That was a really nice win by Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, the first week of the year, got handled by the Niners. Second week, they had that gutty win in Carolina where they make the stand at the goal line. Then week 3, they have an absolutely heartbreaking loss to the Giants where they missed a field goal at the end. They missed the 2 extra points. They blew numerous leads. And you think they're going to go into Los Angeles and they're just going to get mauled. Well, they showed me a lot last week, Tampa Bay. That was a gritty, gutty performance by the Bucs. And by the way, who made the Tampa Bay schedule? Who made that schedule? I mean, so Tampa Bay, I mean, they played last week, out in Los Angeles, and now you got another road game in New Orleans. I mean, then they got like 1,000 other road games coming up. The coach is right. The schedule is ridiculous coming up for Tampa Bay. I mean, it's just crazy scheduling by the NFL with some of these teams. And it's not just Tampa Bay. Some of these other teams, I think Oakland's another one where they got some wild schedule. They don't play a home game for like a crazy amount of weeks. And same thing with Tampa Bay. They're all over the place too. But anyway, being Brees is out. Being without Brees, New Orleans seems to score very few points. They haven't exactly lit it up without him. But the defense is playing well. Tampa Bay has been competitive. They really have. They beat the Rams. They beat the Panthers. Both, on the road. Should have beat the Giants. Niners, they kind of fell apart, late. Tampa Bay's been competitive enough to me where I'm going to move the line to 10.5 and take them in a two-team teaser. Like I said, without Brees, the Saints are more of a defensive team now. They don't score a lot of points, which is expected. There's nothing bad about that. The Saints are actually doing a great job being 3-1 without Brees. Tampa Bay has showed me enough, and they showed me a lot. And out of respect for what they did last week, scoring the most points in franchise history, I'm taking the Bucs with 10.5 in the Superdome in a two-team teaser. That's pick number 10. I'm sorry, pick number 11. Pick number 12. Let's go out to Los Angeles, where the LA Chargers are -6 against the Denver Broncos. Chargers 2-2 beat Miami. Gordon, we'll see about him. He ended his holdout. We'll see about him getting back on the field and all that. Denver 0-4. I don't need a water break, but I'm going to take one anyway because I'm talking about the Broncos. Denver 0-4. Lost to Jacksonville at home. Had a 17-3 lead. Coughed that up. And again, couldn't make a stop at the end. Chubb out for the year. Von Miller takes an imbecilic roughing the passer penalty, which completely changed the end of the game. Jacksonville had like a 3rd and long in their own territory. And then Von Miller, a ridiculous personal foul. So that gives Jacksonville new life. Then they hit a couple passes, they're in field goal range. Good night, Broncos again. I mean, terrible job by the Broncos. The new coach is not showing me nothing. Remember, they ran out the coach last year after a season. They might run out this guy, too. I mean, this guy waited 40 years to get a job. He may be waiting 40 more. I mean, Denver just embarrassing. I mean, my goodness, 17-3 at home against Jacksonville with the backup quarterback. And I'm not poking fun at Jacksonville, but you can't get the job done there. I mean, pathetic. And Von Miller, just an awful penalty. Ah, Denver. I know this is a division game and it's a rivalry and there's a case to be made for moving the line to 12 and taking Denver. I can't do it. I'm moving it to pick 'em and I'm taking the Chargers because I think the Chargers are better. And I know they're flaky and they do a lot of strange things, but I can't take Denver anymore. I asked them to show me something last week and they failed. They failed miserably. They couldn't hold a 17-3 lead at home against Jacksonville with the backup quarterback. I'm not taking them here. I say the Chargers get it done. I say the Chargers find a way, and the Chargers are just better. And Denver will go to 0-5. And they look like a bad team, too. Ugh, just awful. It's amazing how fast the NFL can change. New England aside, some of these teams that were so good just a few years ago, I've talked about the Falcons. The Broncos were another one. I mean, remember the Broncos with the big bad defense that carried Peyton Manning to the Super Bowl? What's happened? Now they can't make a stop against Jacksonville in a big spot. Good grief. That's pick number 12. Pick number 13. Let's go down to Houston, Texas, with the Houston Texans. And I know everyone corrects me about how I say Houston. It's not pronounced Houston with a U, it's with an H. But I'm a New Yorker. That's how I say Houston. Houston with a U. Houston -5 against the Atlanta Falcons. Texans lost at home to Carolina. They're down to 2-2. Here's the deal with the Texans. You know the defense is solid. You know Watson is always going to give you a chance. They got playmakers. You know, they got some receivers. The offensive line is abysmal. Watson takes 1,000,000 hits. They are atrocious, the offensive line, and that will bite them in the end. And by the way, the Texans are in close games every week. They've been in a close game every game this year. Every single game has been close with them. They were close week 1 with the Saints when they lost. The Jacksonville game they held on. Last week it was a close game. Week 3 was a close game when they came back and beat the Chargers. I mean, every game the Texans, it comes down to the wire. Atlanta. One and 3, lost to Tennessee and didn't exactly look good doing it either. As Ryan threw for almost 400 yards and they got a big 10 points on the board. Remember I was just talking about how Denver was a few years and Carolina with Newton when they went 15-1. What's happened to the Falcons? Wasn't it not too long ago that they should have won the Super Bowl against New England and coughed that game up? And then they had a decent year the next year. That's when they lost to Philly, and Philly ended up winning the Super Bowl. What's gone on with Atlanta the last year and change? What is going on here? They are headed in the wrong direction. Houston -5 against Atlanta. And Houston, this is not one of my favorite games. If I had to play the game, I'd move the line to 11 and take the Falcons. And I know that just sounds bad. But like I said, the Texans are in close games every week. And with that bad offensive line, I don't know if they can blow anybody out. It always seems like Watson's got to bail him out at the end or try and bail him out. And I know the Texan defense has the capability of laying it on the Falcons this week. But I just don't think the Texans can blow anybody out. So I'm going to take Atlanta +11 in the 2-team teaser. That's pick number 13. Pick number 14. Let's go out to Santa Clara, the Bay Area, where the San Francisco 49ers are -3.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Interesting game. Niners 3-0 off a bye. Much improved team. I told you that before the season started. They would be. Cleveland up to 2-2 beat Baltimore. Cleveland really responded. I mean, and by the way, the young quarterback showed Rex Ryan a thing or two, as he had a very nice game. Cleveland looked angry at this game. They looked embarrassed. They came to play. Nice win by Cleveland. The Browns go into first place. Very interesting game. And these last two games, I could see it going, you can play it either way. If you ask me who's going to win, I'm going to say the Niners are going to win. Cleveland had that emotional win in Baltimore. Everything went their way. Scored 1 billion points. Now you go into San Francisco, long trip. Niners off a bye, 3-0. Niners, remember their last game 2 weeks ago, they didn't play great against Pittsburgh. They had 5 turnovers, still won. I think they'll clean that up. They'll look to clean it up and play a much crisper game this week. I think the Browns, I'm not going to say let down, but it's going to be hard to repeat the performance they just had in Baltimore. So you ask me, I think the Niners are going to win. There is a case to be made for Cleveland plus 9.5 and a teaser. But to me, who's going to win? I say the Niners win. Money line, that's pick number 14. Pick number 15, and at the beginning of the year, I would say this is a no-brainer game, but things have changed in the NFL in just a couple weeks. Pick number 15, let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Not too far from where I am right now, with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm -5.5 against the New York Giants. Giants, new life. They're 2-2. Took care of Washington. Young quarterback looks good. He looks like he is the part. He looks like he has the potential to be a very, very good player in this league for a long time. It's only 2 games, but we'll see. But the Giants now have new life. Even without Barkley, who's out for a while, even with that bad defense, who somehow only gave up 3 points to Washington, that shows you how bad Washington is. The Giants have new life. They're sitting there 2-2, and they're like, we're only a game behind Dallas in the division. Would you ever have thought that just a few weeks ago? Minnesota, 2-2. And as I mentioned in the beginning, got mauled by the Bears. And I know I don't want to hear about the score was only 16-6. They got mauled. Mauled. And remember, the Bears were playing with their backup quarterback most of that game. The Vikings couldn't move the ball from here to there. I don't think Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. The Vikings have a good defense, but they're putting way too much pressure on them. I think in a big spot, Cousins and the offense are going to kill them. And the division is so tough that Minnesota's in last place right now with a 2-2 record. And listen, they're not too far behind. We know that. But there's a lot of good teams in that division. Green Bay's 3-1. The Bears are 3-1. Detroit's 2-1-1. Look improved. This is a tough division. I mean, Minnesota, they got to start picking it up a little bit here quickly. Beginning of the year, I would say this game, Minnesota's defense is gonna maul the Giants. It's going to swarm all over them. And I still think that could be the case. It'll be very interesting to see how the young Giant quarterback plays against this tough Minnesota defense. Granted, the game's in the Meadowlands. Would be a different story altogether in Minnesota. Granted, it's in the Meadowlands. I think Minnesota's defense is going to force some turnovers here. I think Minnesota's going to be desperate this week. They're looking at the division and saying, listen, we can't fall behind by too many more games here. There's too many teams to catch. I mean, it's early, but you see where this is going. You see where this is going. Green Bay and Chicago can have good records. Detroit could too. You can't afford, to have, like an 8-8 record. I think Minnesota is going to be embarrassed about last week. I think they're going to do some things on defense. So if you ask me again who I think is going to win, I think the Vikings are going to win. There is a case to be made. You can move this line to 11.5 and take the Giants. I know people that are taking the 5.5 and taking the Giants and loving the Giants this week, saying they got all the momentum. Quarterback looks good. They're home. Minnesota's shaky. I know people that are taking the Giants with the 5.5. So you can certainly make the case in the 2-team teaser to take them with 11.5. You ask me who's going to win. I just have a feeling this week the Vikings are going to create some turnovers, make some things difficult for that young Giant quarterback. Remember, Giant quarterback, they played Washington, they played Tampa. Both of those teams can give up points. Vikings are a good defensive team. I'd be very impressed with the young Giant quarterback if he had a big game against this defense. And if he does and the Giants win, Minnesota, watch out next week because I'm going to lay it on you. Minnesota, show me something this week. I think Minnesota will get it done. I think they're going to force the Giants into some turnovers. That is pick number 15. So there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set for week number 5. Thanks as always for the support. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care.